Merry Christmas Eve, everyone, and welcome to what I initially thought would be the final episode of my year-end ranking series from the Billboard charts of this year. 24th of December was really my original plan of finishing up this series because I didn't really realize that the 2024 year-end charts were also going to drop in the middle of December, so I have one more video to make after this one. But initially this was planned to be the finale, and I'm kind of excited to talk about these songs that charted very, very highly in the year of 2023, even though I must admit it was not really a year that I'm super excited about. I think that this is one of the least exciting years to talk about, really, that I've come across so far. Revisiting it now, I mean, it's not very long ago that I heard all of these songs for the first time, but it's just one of these years that's kind of passed me by, I have to be honest. Listening to them now, I realized that there were a lot of songs from this year's charts actually that I wasn't particularly familiar with. A lot of country, for some reason, started to appearing up on the charts again. A bit of hip hop that I wasn't familiar with, and some other songs that also have managed to pass me by. And then a few, of course, that I've heard many, many times. We'll see if I like them or not. It's hopefully you're excited to find out what I think of these songs. And if you're not, well, it's all for a bit of fun. Do let me know which songs from this year's lists are your favorite in the comments. But I will be starting with talking about the song that actually peaked, or actually ended up at number 21 on the year-end charts. That would be because As It Was by Harry Styles was still on the charts in 2023. So, and I already talked about that in yesterday's video. This is Favorite Song by Toosii. And now one can wonder, is this my favorite song? No, not really. It's very sweet and sincere. I feel that emotion coming from this song, and it comes across with a lot of heart. I have to say that. I just wish that we could get these songs to artists who don't really feel the need to just drown their vocals in a ridiculous amount of processing. That ruins the intimate experience for me listening to this one. I think that vocally maybe it has a little bit of a hook, and it's kind of sweet in that aspect. But as an overall listening experience, I kind of tune in a little bit throughout and don't really find it that interesting. Emotionally, it's absolutely there, and I would have liked to connect with it more than I managed to do. As it stands, I think this is very much a very clear case of a D tier song for me, because there are aspects I like and there are aspects that I dislike about it, so it kind of evens itself out into a D. And if it wanted to be in a C, then I would have things that I dislike about it, but just a lot of really redeeming qualities that could enhance it. At the moment, it's not quite in like the solid tier for me. I'd rather just put it in the D tier to respect some things about it and have my issues with it at the same time, I suppose. And the next one up to talk about will be the song Boys a Liar Part 2 by PinkPantheress and Ice Spice. And this was not a song that I was particularly, like, I wasn't aware of this song very much before heading into this list. However, I've heard it in the background at my gym probably a million times. It's played on repeat in there, so now I finally know what song it is. I have never really found the will to search it up while I've been at the gym, and that maybe that kind of says enough about what I think of the song. I don't think it's that special, in all honesty. It's quite repetitive and monotonous in terms of its composition. It's the same chords on loop throughout, no real variation in the track. I appreciate the fact that it's upbeat, kind of playful in its arrangement. I think the chords that are used in it are quite colorful, which gives it, a characteristic trait, really. But overall, it doesn't really have that variation that manages to leave me with an impression, and it's also just over 2 minutes long, so there's really no time to create any sort of diversion within the track. It's just straight to the point, kind of energetic, and throw in a little bit of a rap verse in the middle that I actually think is quite energetic and quite fun in this song. I think the Ice Spice feature is boosting the quality of this song, because I admire the slight variation, I guess, we get from that. And her rap style has quite a unique approach, really, to it, that I think fits this song. It's a bit too processed for my liking, both vocally and overall as an arrangement, I suppose. But I get this song. I would understand why people would really enjoy it. I just find it a bit too uninteresting and underwhelming. I'm placing this one in the D tier as well, perhaps just slightly above favorite song. I like the energy of it quite a bit, actually. Moving on to the next one up, and this is like Morgan Wallen is an artist that I have no idea who he is, but he had 3 songs on this top 20 of 2023. So he's obviously a huge thing. The only problem with that as well is, of course, or the only problem with that is that there aren't really that many artworks to kind of choose from, because he did not release these songs as singles, only one of them were. So I had to be a bit creative, and I picked this, just a photo of Morgan Wallen to represent the song Thinkin Bout Me, because it didn't have a separate artwork and I didn't want to confuse the songs that he has from this year. So yeah, now you know why there's just a photo of him. This is not the actual artwork. Either way, that's a lot of unnecessary information maybe. This song is one that I kind of am a little bit fond of, to be honest. I'm really fond of the sweet little electric guitar line in the song that swoops throughout it. The beat provides a solid foundation, really, even though it is a bit on this kind of hip-hop inspiration, like that blend. Neat flow throughout the song as well that I think is quite pleasant. It managed to make like a song with this crossover of country and hip-hop quite enjoyable. So well done on that. Melodically, I find the song to be quite uninteresting, if I'm honest. I think that if it had been more melodically compelling, I could have stretched myself to a B for this song, but I'm placing it in the C tier. I think it's solid. It doesn't do too much that sparks my interest, but it's still a pleasant and enjoyable listen, and nice with a decent little country song to talk about here. As I move on to "Cruel Summer" by Taylor Swift, and this is really, like, in my opinion, a very serviceable Taylor Swift tune. It's kind of anthemic. I would understand that in an arena setting, now that she's out touring with these huge crowds, this could be quite an effective track during those sessions for sure. Jubilant choruses that are really effective, so that would absolutely get people going. Sweet arrangement altogether throughout the song. I don't think it's among her more interesting tracks as a whole, really. It kind of just goes straight to the point, doesn't do anything noteworthy in my opinion, but it does its job and is quite a decent little listen, but not much more for me. I'm placing this one in the C tier as well. I think it fits quite nicely in there. I have other Taylor Swift songs that I think are much superior to this one, but it's sweet enough, so C tier will be fine for that. Next up, more Chris Brown. I still don't really know why he's still a thing. He came back in like 2 or 3 videos ago with a song that I didn't like, and now he appears again with Under the Influence, another song that I don't like. Uninteresting, lifeless to me. It's flat production going out throughout the track. I don't think anything about this is particularly memorable. No vocal memorability, mainly. Like, usually that would kind of be the main thing that I would expect from Chris Brown, to at least have like a little bit of a hook or something catchy in that area. But nope, I don't think this one really sticks with me anyway. I think that I'm kind of wondering, like, what mood should one be in to enjoy this track. I'm not sure. I'm probably never in that said mood. It's kind of snoozy in my opinion, so might be perfect for a lie down after going to the mall or something. I don't know. Just not for me. I don't get it. Moving on to something that is, I guess, a little bit more interesting. This is Rock and a Hard Place by Bailey Zimmerman. Another artist I have absolutely no idea who he is, but it's another country song, really. A little bit of a country ballad with some strong instrumentation. It feels quite natural and authentic in that sense. I think that it's sonically pleasant in its approach, really. Like, that's probably the standout aspect of it, that it just comes together and feels like real, or however you want to call it. Smooth flow in the development of the song as well. There's a neat little guitar solo towards the end, even though that it's very, very brief and too brief. I gotta be honest. It's kind of a letdown that it ends so quickly. Also, melodically, I find it to be a bit anonymous. It's not a chorus that has particularly stuck with me, but the arrangement kind of has. It's sweet enough, so I'm placing this one in the C tier. I don't think it's particularly outstanding or memorable, but it's solid enough, really. It does what it wants to do, I suppose. But I probably expect there to be more compelling country ballads out there to hit the charts. But this is the one that got there, among others. We'll get to more of them later on. Next up is Drake and 21 Savage with the song Rich Flex. And I knew what I like got myself into. I knew what to expect when I clicked play on a song called Rich Flex. The beat stands out a little bit, perhaps, but that's really about it. The rapping doesn't really stand out if you're used to hearing some mumble about treating women very, very nicely and being very humble about all of your possessions, or none of that. Drake also manages to start singing a nursery rhyme towards the end of the song, so that's fun. F. Moving on to Zach Bryan's song Something in the Orange, which I think is a very strange hit song. This one doesn't really make a lot of sense to me, how it charted so highly. It's very laid back, kind of anonymous in all honesty. It doesn't really do anything to grab people's attention, but I guess it hit people for probably the reason that I'm about to name now. That is my favorite aspect of it. I think that this song manages to create a dramatic setting very, very nicely. It just establishes this rich tone of kind of a transportive feeling that it creates its own little world. It's very restrained, very minimalistic, but it kind of works in that vibe as well. It's very much a song that portrays itself and paints up a picture, and you get dragged into that. However, I feel like if it doesn't really have your attention, it's very difficult to connect to that presentation. Really a decent clarity in the vocals here that I think is quite effective. It works on that minimalistic instrumental, so the vocals carry up a lot of the attention, and I think that Zach Bryan here manages to really convince in that area. It's a pure song, it's very bare bones, but it uses that to an effect, I suppose. I don't think it's particularly engaging or intriguing, if I'm completely honest. It's something that passes me by very easily. I need to really sit down and take it in if I want to enjoy it. I'm very glad that if others like it though, because the song actually has something very pure about it, so that's a nice little touch. I think I'm just stacking up the C tier with the country songs here, because I'm placing this one in there as well. I'll place it there, I think. Yeah. More country coming up. We got You Proof by Morgan Wallen again. This is the one song from his album that I'm talking about today that actually got a separate artwork. And this is the kind of country that maybe I'm not the most biggest fan of, if I'm honest. This is like a kind of country that's just there to want to be snappy, and I can get along with snappy. I can't get along with irritating though, which I unfortunately think this song ends up being quite early on. The instrumental is super minimalistic in the song. The hip hop beat drowns out any sort of kind of authentic or natural instrumentation that this song wants to have. However, I don't really think it has a lot of that either, so it doesn't really matter. This more or less feels like it's more leaning towards a very flat and uninteresting hip hop sound. Not a very expressive beat at all. It's very much stock, kind of the predictable soundscape really for a song like this, and it ultimately becomes quite a dire listen for me. I'm placing this one in the E tier. Has a little bit of a snappy thing going on for it, but not a standout in this year, I have to say. And at the moment, the tier list is looking a bit rough, and next up is Sam Smith and Kim Petras with Unholy. And this is actually one of these songs that, like, for whatever reason, I've just managed to find some enjoyment in it. The weird thing about it is, like, this song has a very, very playful sound design that just wants to stand out as much as possible. And these contrasting, very sharp and distinct elements hitting each other throughout the track should really end up sounding like a cacophony in many ways. I just find it to be incredibly fun instead. Like, listening to it, somehow I just enjoy listening to all of these kind of randomly scattered sound inputs that should really collide against each other, but they create something quite unique and intriguing in terms of the actual arrangement here. It's an addictive groove rhythmically, I would say. The song is foot tap friendly. It is also kind of sing-along friendly. The hook is absolutely catchy. It sticks in my head immediately. I like the dark atmosphere that it wants to create as well. It's quite compelling. It's a bit silly how, like, melodramatic this song is, considering the topic matter of it all. Like, the lyrics are very silly in combination with this very palpable and hard-hitting and dark melodramatic touch that the song wants to have. But still, I find this one to be quite a fun listen, and there are a few club remixes of it that I know that are definitely quite effective on a dance floor. So I'm placing this one in the B tier. I have many things that I quite enjoy about it, but yeah, it's a strange one. I say that anyway. Next up, David Guetta and Bebe Rexha with I'm Good, parentheses blue, which is basically just I'm Blue by Eiffel 65. And they thought, what if we take this song and we try and make it a bit serious with like lyrics that aren't about depression and feeling incomplete. And instead we make it about feeling very good and alive and I want to dance. And it's, I have a very big problem with songs like these that just kind of take another song. I get it, like Eiffel 65 are living happily on the royalties they receive from this track, but I just see no reason why listen to this version if you can listen to I'm Blue by Eiffel 65, which I don't really enjoy listening to, but I'd much rather listen to something that was actually originally crafted by an idea that they had, instead of someone coming along and just plain up buying up a song to provide absolutely nothing to it. This is one of the most obnoxious listens of the year. It's so heavily compressed and loud in its actual delivery that I get really tired listening to it. And ultimately, at the end of the day, the main problem is the fact that there's nothing original or creative about this. This is the greatest F you could ever put out. I'm kind of tired of David Guetta just being like this, because he's put out some great music, in my opinion. I've loved a lot of his music. Like, you got the whole, I forgot the name of the album, but the one they released in 2009 with songs like Memories or Sunshine, I think, was on there as well. And then you had also the songs like Dangerous and Lovers on the Sun 10 years ago or so. These days we get this. Stop. Just stop. Moving on to Snooze by Za or Seza or Ja. I don't know how to pronounce her name, but I do know one thing, and that is that I quite enjoy the music that she's put out. I found myself an artist that I quite enjoy a little bit here. Snooze isn't really one of my favorite songs by her, though, I've realized, because I think this one doesn't really do a lot groundbreaking things. It very much just kind of relies on its vibe to an extent where I feel like it gets a bit tiring. The vibe of the song is very, very smooth and enjoyable in that aspect. I think the excessive kind of use of reverb lays the foundation quite nicely in the song as well. It's easy to nod along to this beat, as I've realized with a lot of her music, really, and the vocals are continuously very pleasant and quite characteristic and just enjoyable. Nice flow throughout the track, I really think so. But there are no real groundbreaking sections that stand out to me, and there seems to be more a focus on storytelling within this song rather than melodic writing or some kind of intrigue in terms of its melody or composition. It's an enjoyable listen altogether. I'm placing this one in the C tier as well, probably top of C tier, because I think this is a vibe, but I wish it would have been a bit more interesting melodically. Next up, Fast Car by Luke Combs, and if I hated I'm Good by David Guetta, this is it's almost worse. That's kind of the thing, because this one provides absolutely nothing to the original by Tracy Chapman. There is no reason for this song to exist other than Luke Combs wanted to make a cover, and people just, for some reason, went all for it and wanted to praise the hell out of it. And what I don't understand is, because this is basically the exact same song, he's added nothing to Fast Car except a male voice or whatever you like. That's it. And what I don't understand is that Running Up That Hill by Kate Bush managed to chart on the 2022 year-end charts, even though it's an older song. Why couldn't we just all get behind Tracy Chapman's original version of Fast Car then and make that chart? Instead, we have this, and I understand absolutely none of it. I really don't know. I really don't know what to say. The source material of the track is very, very pretty, and it's a song that I really like. So some praise for that, maybe. E tier because of that aspect alone. Actually, like it's above the Chris Brown track there. But I'll take into consideration that I really like the track on its own. Like compositionally, it's very good, but it has nothing to do with Luke Combs. I'm sure, like he's a capable singer, no problem with that. I just hate the fact that this is charting, and so successfully as well. Hopefully, Tracy Chapman gets 99.99% of the royalties of that song. Hopefully, there's nothing creative about this. Luke Combs will, I think he's appeared somewhere else though. Maybe not in today's video, but I'm sure I've talked about him somewhere else. Yeah. Anyway, move on to Die For You remix. This is The Weeknd with Ariana Grande again. It's kind of like a follow-up to Save Your Tears, I suppose, because they realized, that was a lot of success to just sing as a duet and chart very highly with that. And Die For You is kind of the same thing again. I think this one isn't really as compelling. I think conceptually this song wants to be very intimate and romantic. Listening to it, I gotta be honest, I feel none of that really. There are more, these are like, the song consists of more of these grand soundscapes by The Weeknd that he's kind of become a bit like trademark for. The excessive bass presence in the song is kind of drowning out the rest of the instrumental. Unfortunately for me, I think that it's overbearing and distracting. The sparse little synth leads in the background add very little to the song, in my opinion. They're there for variation, but they add very little of it, in my opinion. It's a slow burner type of song with choruses that feel like they're just kind of consisting of elongated notes, and it's not very interesting. The duet concept is neat, again, I suppose, so I'm placing it in D because of that, but ultimately quite a flat and uninteresting listen for me. Next up will be Calm Down by Rema and Selena Gomez, and I appreciate some upbeat and danceable music. However, I also despise the lo 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 part of this song. There are a lot of things that I just don't really enjoy about this. It's a me issue, but I just don't really enjoy Afrobeats music in general. I find a lot of them to just kind of be excessive in terms of how much reliance there is on the beat, and the beat is kind of like captivating and enjoyable for a little while, but it gets a bit too repetitive for my personal liking, and the vocal style here just gets quite uninteresting for me quite quickly, and it doesn't help when you rely on these overly repetitive sections either. All the more power to the people who enjoy it. It's dance friendly, so that's positive. Rather that than something that's just slow and boring, I suppose. I find it very ironic that Selena Gomez is included in the most successful Afrobeat song that I can ever think of. I think this is like the one Afrobeat song ever to reach #1 on Billboard or something like that. I've read a stat on there somewhere, and of course, it's kind of ironic that Selena Gomez is involved in it. I don't know. It's just not my kind of music. I'm placing it in E because there's something in here. Should absolutely be placed above Luke Combs there with his fast car. Yeah, it's not my kind of music, unfortunately. Next up is Creepin by Metro Boomin, The Weeknd, and 21 Savage, and I'm kind of a fan of the suggestive ambiance of this track. I think that's quite poignant. The Weeknd is a very good fit for a song like this. The dark brewing beat matched with his very smooth and bright vocal style. It's a nice combination. The song, just kind of like the Die For You remix here, is a bit of a slow burn, in my opinion. Not one of The Weeknd's more interesting songs. I kind of miss the energetic ones that he put out. But it has aspects of it. I think the drums that come in throughout the song, the first time around, it's like 1.5 minutes in. And they provide very nice kind of texture to the song that I think elevates it. And each section that actually has this drum loop or the percussive detailing in them, they're quite fun and push the song forward quite well. They come in unexpectedly, but they are really nice switch ups. So there are some strengths in this. I'm placing this one in the C tier as well. I'm placing it right there. I feel like the C tier is getting stacked in this video. Maybe I've been a bit too lenient because there's nothing in here that I really feel like should be in the B category. So yeah. However, we're finally getting to the actual good stuff from the 2023 charts, in my opinion. We're starting off with Taylor Swift. Good old Taylor. I can always rely on her. or most of the time anyway. Antihero. This is Taylor Swift back at her most compelling pop tunes, in my opinion. Smooth backdrop, putting out all of the focus on her vocals, and she sells it from the first second to the last. A properly characteristic vocal performance, very subtle track, in all honesty, very restrained in terms of its approach, but it just soars. It's so pleasant to listen to. The melodic flow of it is top tier, in my opinion. I think the choruses are super engaging with rhythmically very well planned out sections and melodic lines. I think that the instrumental continuation of the choruses are very satisfactory, really. That just kind of ties the song together so nicely, and it feels complete and it feels purposeful. I adore the melodic writing of this. The vocal finesse of Taylor Swift as well in the presentation works so nicely with that. So enjoyable as a listen. I'm placing this very clearly in the A tier. I don't think it's Taylor Swift's strongest song in any stretch of the imagination, but I think it's a very well put together pop song that just hits right for me. And next up is probably my favorite find of the year, I gotta say, because this Za or Seza or whatever, I know so little about her. I have to be honest. She seems to be more popular in America than maybe in Sweden, or I'm just ignorant these days. But Kill Bill, I mean, what a great find, really. I gotta be honest, I'm very disappointed in one thing, and that is that this song is only 2.5 minutes long. Like, that's the most annoying thing possible about this, because this song is the perfect track for just being a jam. Like, when I listen to this song and just take in the whole arrangement and atmosphere of it, I feel like this is the kind of song that you want on a 10-minute loop to just play around with instrumentally. Like if you want to like be a group of people, just gather around, play a song together and just jam. And this is like the perfect setting for a song like that. It builds up a lovely atmosphere, I find. It's very easy to get lost in this song. I can just sit back, enjoy it to the fullest, and I don't want it to stop. I just want to lay back or lay down, relax, and just get overwhelmed by this really smooth atmosphere and palpable emotion of it. I think the vocal performance in here is gorgeous, really sets the tone nicely. The chorus has this very satisfactory kind of evolution to it, where the bass walk is following this ascending intonation, note for note. Very pleasant kind of songwriting in that aspect. The soundstage is very full, it has a purposeful delivery, great swing to the percussion, which I think really adds to that jammy feeling that I'm getting from it. It really is like the perfect song to just jam along to and just feel the motion of it and get lost in it. Unfortunately, it is 2.5 minutes long, so I gotta criticize it for that, because I think that's really unfortunate. This is definitely an A-tier song for me, though. I think it's brilliant. Next up is Miley Cyrus' song Flowers, and I really did not need to hear this song again in preparation of recording this video, because I'm so tired of it. I gotta say, I've always found like the song's attitude and presentation to be very tedious, but it's not really like I don't think the song is particularly bad in any sense, but it's just that I probably have gotten too tired of it, and I've never really connected with its presentation and with its actual execution, I suppose. Structurally, the song follows a very classic kind of form and does no wrong in it. It's very effectively written and structured in that way. Some cool ideas in there with tension leading into the post-choruses, and a vocal performance with some flair to it, I definitely say. Simultaneously, I just find this song so unexciting, which really holds back my enjoyment of it. I'm placing this one in the D tier. Not really something that I particularly enjoy, but it really doesn't do much wrong. It's straight to the point pop song that is quite effectively written. So all the more power to them. I just don't find it very interesting. I suppose maybe it's the success more comes down to the relatability of the lyrics that some people find. So all the more power to them for that, but not a song that I ever willingly return to, I have to be honest. And finally, one of the strangest songs to hit #1 on the year-end charts, at least in my in my mind. This is just very strange for Last Night by Morgan Wallen to be the biggest song of 2023 apparently, and I had never heard it before going into making this video. like a country song being number one on the year-end charts. What is this? Like that hasn't happened since. That's happened only once before during this series, and that was 2000 with "Breathe" by Faith Hill. Um, so this is the second time I have a country song at number one, and it feels very strange. I kind of like some part of me just understands why this might be number one because it is a catchy song. I think the melody works. It's a foot tap inducing beat. It's quite a tacky concept behind the song, but effective in its execution for sure. I find it quite pleasant, really. I have no qualms with it or anything like that, but I do find it quite uninteresting, if I'm completely honest. It's just so strange that a song that doesn't really have any a development in terms of grit or intention or in dynamics, to just kind of be the song that everyone gathers around and just praises as the best song of the year. I don't even think it's the best Morgan Wallen song that I talked about today. I probably prefer listening to, what was it called? Thinking About Me? Yeah. I'm placing this one below Cruel Summer there. It doesn't really do anything wrong. It's pleasant enough, but I don't find it particularly outstanding either. So it is what it is. And this is definitely like the C year of these charts so far. This is not my year. I'm just looking at this tier list now. Like this has to be like the worst one I've put together so far. There's nothing in S, 2 songs in A, and I think those 2 are actually really, really great. And then 1 song in B, and then so many in C, a lot of them in D, a lot of them in E, and we got 2 horrendous F songs there. I'm very tempted to put Fast Car in F as well, but the source material is too good for me to do that. So okay, I'm satisfied with that. That's the end of my tier list. Maybe you think this year is better than I do, because that wouldn't require much from you to think that. Regardless of anything, I hope you enjoyed watching this video, and please let me know what you think of these songs as well in the comments. What's your favorite song from 2023 out of these 20? Let me know. Thank you so much for watching this video. I'll see you again when it's Christmas Day tomorrow, and I'll talk about the leading singles from 2024. Have a good one until then. Take care of yourselves, and Merry Christmas again.